Glenn Greenwald. You all heard of them? You know, I've wanted to talk about Glenn Greenwald for a while, but to be perfectly honest, I have avoided it in part because he's almost a mythological figure with how much good and bad he's done, which means that you have to be careful with how you approach him. And also, I don't know if you people know who he is, because he's not like a YouTube Zoomer commentator, you know? He was more known for stuff that he did a while ago. Some of you probably weren't even born back when he got famous, but Glenn Greenwald. So Glenn Greenwald is a legend. Pulitzer Prize winning journalist. Very, very famous. Back for his criticisms of neoconservatism, war hawking, the Iraq War, the Patriot Act, and I think the Pulitzer Prize that he won was for coverage of information that was leaked from Snowden. I mean, Pulitzer Prize. This goes well beyond what do you kids like? What's your idea of like an award? What, 1 million YouTube subs? Pulitzer fucking Prize. Glenn Greenwald. I mean, he was a legend, you know? He was really, really respected. Pretty big. Yeah, not gone viral on Twitter. I mean, this is real world stuff. I had a lot of respect for him back when I was a little baby lefty. But unfortunately, Glenn Greenwald has gone off the deep end just a little bit. He's how do I put this? He's at the center of the Nazgul vortex. He's I guess a social democrat. I don't think he's a leftist. Is he a socialist? No, I think he's a social democrat. I don't think he's a full-on socialist. But he's spent the past couple of years just obsessed with every culture war dogshit bait issue that you would expect from Tucker Carlson-esque types. I mean, in fact, he's friends with Tucker Carlson. He's gone on his program quite a few times. But we're talking about a guy, you know, who's very much anti-corruption, anti-censorship, and somehow falls way into the woke censors destroying Western free speech with their queer agenda types, you know? I'll put it this way. This sums it up best, okay? Glenn Greenwald founded The Intercept. You've heard about The Intercept? And back late in 2020, he left The Intercept because he was going to write a story on Hunter Biden's laptop leaks. Remember that bullshit? And he got edited. The Intercept editors edited him. Now, Glenn Greenwald, he did not take to this being held to journalistic standards thing. No. He just wanted to ramble off some lunatic screed on how Hunter Biden, cocaine, laptop, cousin, child porn, China, Xi Jinping, Beijing, laptop, Hunter Biden, Biden. That's what he wanted to write. That was the text of the article. And editors did their job. They edited. And Glenn Greenwald threw a hissy fit, and he ran off to what? Substack? He ran off to some blog site so he could write. He left The Intercept over this. He didn't just complain. He didn't just go on Tucker Carlson to cry about it. He went off to a blog site, left the publication he founded. Okay. And just today, and I mean this, just today, he came out and, well, he contributed to the discourse. Some really fascinating findings in this big new Gallup survey on Americans identifying as LGBT. It should lead to lots of deeper investigation to understand what explains some of these astronomical changes, but for now, a few points to make. So, Glenn Greenwald is gay. Just so you guys know, Glenn's gay. Which, you know, he's of the gay. He's of the kind. He's not, you know, he's not some distanced straight. He's in the LGBT issues, you know, but okay, hold on. There's been a huge explosion in the number of Americans identifying as LGBT. Close to 1 out of every 5 Gen Z so identifies. That's more than 4 times as many from Gen X. How cool is that, huh? We're skipping millennials here, but altogether, you know, we got a lot of queer people in Gen Z, which is nice. We can see the ratios here. So, gay percentage we have the traditionalists, the baby boomers, Gen X, millennials, and then Gen Z. And, of course, everything's gone up with time. So this is why. Was this because of gay radiation from the ozone layer. No, of course not. It's because of social acceptance. Most notably, we have an increase in bisexual. I mean, back in the baby boomer traditionalist generation, 0.3%, pretty much in line with everything else. But nowadays, 11.5%. And I want to be clear about something, by the way. If you believe in the basic premise of the Kinsey scale, the idea that people generally aren't 100% straight or 100% gay, they tend to be somewhere in the middle of that spectrum. If you believe in that, and the Kinsey spectrum isn't like hard scientific determinative evidence, it's just, you know, an idea of how human sexuality works, then the idea that a lot of people should start to identify as bisexual now that it's socially acceptable, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense. Like that idea that bisexuality would grow more popular completely conforms to our pre-existing understanding of sexuality. So cool. So anyway, we go on. Of Americans now claiming bisexuality, he puts bi in quotation marks there, the vast majority of them in long-term relationships are in opposite-sex relationships, 33%, rather than same-sex ones, 3.7%. So 10 times more people who identify as bi live in hetero-appearing relationships than gay/lesbian ones. Now, him putting bi in quotation marks is a little odd. There's actually a really easy explanation for this, which I think, hold on, actually, I think Shoe on Head actually quote tweeted him, and Shoe likes Glenn Greenwald for reasons that I'm not going to get into, but yeah, here, hold on. Thanks, Shoe. A very simple explanation, Glenn. The chances of me, a bi person, for example, meeting a dude who likes women is higher than me meeting another woman who likes women. The dating pool of opposite-sex attraction is bigger than same-sex attraction. So Shoe actually explained that perfectly. It's not an epidemic of people identifying as bi even though they live as straight people. It's just relative dating pools. I mean, that's been the experience, I imagine, of a lot of bi people. Often bi people are accused of faking it. People are accused of... if you're a bi guy... oftentimes straight women will think that you're gay people who are going to cheat on them with men, and men will think that you're secretly straight and just experimenting and you're going to cheat on them with women. So, you know, there's a whole thing. I've never actually gotten that much shit for being pan, which is, in the context of this survey, functionally serving the same purpose as bi, because, and this is the secret the kids don't want you to know, there's really no fucking difference. Just call yourself each other, whatever. Stop making it a weird, like, trans exclusionary thing. It's fine. Just go whatever. It's totally okay. Just, it's not. Holy shit, it's okay. Never met a person who said, I'm bi, and meant no non-binary people, by the way. Never actually met that person. Now, I think pan is technically more semantically correct. Technically. Also, I think it sounds cooler. But it's not a thing to... No, it's... People get upset over this shit, honestly. Anyway, here we go. Now we're getting to it, okay? In fact, we can end it right here. This is the good one. Finally, as famed lesbian Kitty Per Zog notes, this is not a great person, by the way, there are now, amongst millennials and Gen Z, more people identifying as trans than lesbian. She has previously argued that masculine girls are now encouraged to identify as trans, causing a decrease in the lesbian population. So Glenn Greenwald, Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist, signal boosting a TERF argument right there. Oh, our lost sisters. Were not all the butch lesbians convinced that they must be men to express their sexual preferences, our world would be that much sweeter for it. Remember that Ariel Scarcella video where she's like, now there are fewer lesbians for me to creep on. Know what I'm talking about? Common TERF argument. We can talk about that. So hold on. Okay. So some interesting points first and foremost, okay? So notice the verbiage. Decrease in the lesbian population from millennials and Gen Z to previous. But if you look at the chart, the number of lesbians has gone up. He even highlighted it. He highlighted it before screenshotting it in the tweet where he said the number of lesbians are going down. I think there was some discourse on that segment earlier. Hold on. Thankfully, here we go. Thankfully, someone highlighted the numbers in the data that contradict that claim. Watch him try to wiggle off the hook. It doesn't contradict the claim. From Gen X to Millennial, the percentage identifying as lesbian has barely moved, while every other category increased significantly. From Gen X to Gen Z, bi and trans skyrocketed vastly more than lesbians. What explains that? You said that the lesbian population decreased, not that lesbian population growth decelerated. No, I referenced Katie Herzog's article on how lesbian culture is disappearing because masculine girls who 20 years ago would have become lesbians now become trans. Her article is full of data on the question. That trans increases vastly more bolsters that point. Here we have a screenshot from the tweet where he says decrease in the lesbian population, not decrease in the proportional increase in the lesbian representation. Taking 6 words out of context of a long tweet thread is the kind of thing people desperate for attention do, etc., so on and so on. Now listen, as a person who's a big fan of the "you've taken me out of context" argument, Glenn Greenwald is giving our kind a very bad name, okay? You can't say you're being taken out of context when you say a thing and then say a directly contradictory thing in the same tweet thread and then complain about you being taken out of context from the tweet thread where you said the thing that empirically contradicted the other thing that you said. You can't, but okay. Pulitzer Prize winning journalist, by the way. Pulitzer Prize. I keep saying that. I know I'm being repetitive, but Pulitzer Prize, I mean, that's about as high up as you get when it comes to journalistic awards, and here we are. Anyway, wait, can we get back to the numbers here? Glenn Greenwald got mega ratioed for this. What are we at? 850 likes to 1.4 thousand quote tweets. Yoicks. And Glenn Greenwald's a big account, too. I mean, 1.6 million followers. Dude's not slouching, you know? The reason why I'm talking about all... No, it didn't even decelerate, by the way. Actually, if you look at the numbers, like, everything here actually makes sense. The proportion of lesbians rose, what is this? About 80%, I'd say, from millennials to Gen Z. And the proportion of transgender rose by less than that, by about 50%, because 50% of 1.2 would be 0.6, and 0.6 plus 1.2 would equal, yeah, 1.8 for trans. Yeah, so... what it's not even, what are we talking about? Look, this all fits into a broader narrative, which is that there's like this epidemic of queerness that's destroying all the kids are being seduced by it. And they said this all the time, by the way. They said this with gay people too. They kind of still do say this about gay people, that like the kids are, you know, they're gonna be seduced by homosexuality if they just keep going on to these internet forums. You know, do you guys remember that infamous study saying that there was something called rapid onset gender dysphoria, which was the idea that like there were these trans kids who were getting the trans from being on like pro-trans social media. And that study, by the way, I think I talked about this on stream, but hilariously bad. I mean, they got their understanding of the situation from moms, and the moms they got that understanding from were moms who frequented turf boards, which is unironically like trying to get criminological evidence from like Stormfront. Like, we're looking to investigate some, you know, black and white crime, interracial crime. Yeah, we want to get some numbers on this. So we took a survey of 1,000 users of Stormfront, and we went to poll too, 4chan/poll, and we found some really shocking results. I mean, wow, this blows previous research out of the water. You know, and that's what we're dealing with right here. So to be perfectly clear, we are going to see an increase in gay, lesbian, bi, trans, whatever people with time. I think that's a lovely thing. Now, we have to understand that there is, as of this moment, absolutely no evidence. I mean, no evidence, zero evidence, that gender dysphoria is socially transmittable. The idea that somebody who is comfortable in their body would view a meme or go on a forum and then over time, like that would develop gender dysphoria in them. There just isn't any evidence of this. Now, there is evidence that people with gender dysphoria can have those tendencies, those conditions, those symptoms exacerbated based on various social conditions, which makes sense. I mean, if you have like this latent feeling of gender dysphoria and you're in one life, you're ignoring it, you're avoiding it, you're just living your day to day, you don't go online, you just like, but then okay. I mean, or if you go on like, honestly, not just trans forums, but TERF forums either, anything that really like vigorously discusses the subject of trans people, maybe that can cause feelings, but that's not about creating gender dysphoria. That's just about people being reminded. I mean, shit, you know? That's the case for pretty much anything, right? Pretty much any condition can be exacerbated by awareness. Psychosomatism is a real thing. And since gender dysphoria has a lot to do with self-perception, that's not even a matter of psychosomatism. That's just how it works. The reason I'm talking about this is because I want to stress that nothing wrong is happening here. If anything, something right is happening here. See, I'll tell you what is absolutely and undeniably harmful to the psyche of young people, of any people, and that is being in the closet. If you're trans, gay, lesbian, bi, whatever, being in the closet, objectively, empirically, inarguably, bad for you. It's just bad for you. It's not good. And what these numbers represent to me is a greater proportion of people coming out and being forthcoming and honest about who they are, and I think that's lovely. And you know what? I'll even take the hard side here too. A lot of those, you see a lot of these Gen Z people are bisexual, 11.5%. Maybe some of them won't identify that way, like after college or whatever. That's a thing that happens. Sometimes people do experiment, and people's self-perception, their identities can change. There's nothing wrong with that. That's been happening forever. The idea that society is being damaged by like fooling around in college and then like, oh, actually, okay, I think I am more into women. I think I am more into men. Okay. No perceived harm here. But what people really talk about, more than anything else, I think, is the idea that people are like rushing into gender transition, like out of nowhere, which is just not happening. Did any of you see that that viral Twitter post where the tweet said, "We're worried about rushing kids into surgery," and it was an email, and they were saying like, yeah, in 48 months we can begin taking a look into the preliminary, you know, psych evaluation that will allow us to book the appointment that would allow you to, you know, begin the process of, yeah, like that sort of thing, you know? People aren't getting rushed into this. Or, hey, if some people are somewhere, then we can adjust that, you know? This really isn't a big social plague. I'll tell you, though, people like Glenn Greenwald who fearmonger over shit like this, it's a little bit of a social plague, I'd say. A little bit, possibly, maybe, possibly. Personal opinion of mine, you know. Eat shit, Glenn. You has been, honestly,